everyone, you're welcome back to Ink City this place once again. My name is Hinka. In today's tutorial, I'm going to be taking us on how we can take accurate body measurements, because in the next couple of weeks I'm going to be illustrating to us how we can draft our own basic bodice pattern and our sleeve block. So, and it's very important that we get all the measurements correctly. So that's why I'm here in front of your screen today to show you how you can take your own body measurements. So let's get started. It is advisable for us to wear just an undergarment, just like a very fitted undergarment while taking measurements, so that you can take everything accurately. Because if you wear too many clothes, it's going to alter the measurement, like adding to the measurement and all of that. Very first thing while taking measurements is to ask your client to stand upright, looking straight ahead. Yes, that's the very first step. They don't need to be standing, anyhow. Ask them to stand up, standing straight, and be looking straight ahead. And while you're taking the measurement, for you, as the person taking the measurement, it is advisable for you to stay by the side of your client. You don't want to stay right in front of them. Just stand by the side and then you take the measurement, because, sometimes when you stay in front of your client, it makes them to be uncomfortable, Yeah, so it is advisable to just stay by the side and in front of a mirror, if possible, if you have one. If you don't have, it's still great, so just take your measurement. First thing now is to get a rope or a string like this. Then you're going to be getting the natural waistline. That's the very first thing in taking measurement. First, locate your natural waistline. And how do you do that? Just take the rope and then you tie it on your waist. Tie it firmly on your waist, and you bend to the right and also to the left. All right, so by the time you stand upright, the rope will have rested well on your natural waistline. Yes, isn't that great? Okay, it's very simple and it makes a whole lot of difference. All right, so after getting that position, and that position, note, is usually located about 2 inches above your navel, like about 2 inches above your belly button. For some people, while for some it's like 3 inches. So that's why you just need to get that location, because sometimes it can be like 2 inches above your belly button or like 3 inches. Just to be accurate, just do that little step that I asked you to do. It's very simple and you can do it. So I'm going to be using my mannequin as a model for this tutorial. So the first step, like I said, is just to tie the rope around my mannequin. Okay, so I have my rope now on my mannequin, on my mannequin's natural waistline. So basically we have 2 major measurements. Those two are your vertical measurement and also your horizontal measurement. Your vertical measurements are measurements that run across lengthwise, like starting from your shoulder to your bust point, to your underbust, to your waistline, to your hip line, and the length of your garment. So vertical measurements are basically length measurements, while the horizontal measurements are circumference measurement. That is the measurement that runs across your body circumference. So those are horizontal measurements. So let's get straight into the measurement taken. So the very first step is to place your tape measure at the highest point of the shoulder. That is the joining between your neck and your shoulder. That point here, that's where you're going to be placing your tape measure. The joining between your neck point and your shoulder. Yes, that highest point there of your shoulder, that is where you're going to be placing the measurement, right here. So place your tape measure at the highest point of the shoulder like that. So you take the measurement to your bust point, that is your nipple position, then to your under bust, then to your waistline. And note, you are going to be writing down all the measurements. If you're taking measurement, you're going to be putting them down. Then from there, you measure your hip line or your blouse length. Then from there, if you're making a short gown, you measure your short gown. If you're making a long dress, then you take it all the way down to the floor while taking your long gown measurements. All right, so we're done with our vertical measurement. So the next thing is to take the horizontal measurement, that is our circumference measurement. So you take your tape, you measure around the fullest part of your bust, around the fullest part of your bust, making sure the tape is parallel. You take it firmly, not too tight, but you have to insert just one finger in between the tape and the body. You know, just put one finger in between, like I'm showing you here. Then you note that down. You move to the waistline, you take the waist measurement firmly but not tight, inserting one finger like you did on the bust. You will note that down. Then you measure around the hip, that is around the highest point of the hip. So you take that measurement, making sure your tape is parallel. Then you take that measurement, and you're going to be writing everything down like I said earlier. So now we're done with the circumference measurement. So the next thing is to measure from the highest point of the shoulder to the bone here, like from your shoulder to your shoulder bone here. So like this. You take that. So the next step now is to take your neck measurement. Just wrap the tape roll around the neck. Then you get whatever measurement you have there. Then you take your nipple to nipple measurement, the distance between one nipple to the other nipple. So you just take it. Then you take your cross chest measurement from one armhole to the other armhole. So you're going to place your tape like I'm showing you. Then you take that measurement. So your across the chest is usually different from your across back. So after taking your across chest measurement, you turn and then you take your across back measurement from one armhole to the other armhole. If your client is wearing clothes, from one seam that connects the sleeve to the body to the other one. Yeah, basically that's it. So you measure like this. You can see that here now I have 15.5. Whereas if you measure across the chest, it's not going to be up to that. Here I have just 15. So there's difference between your across chest and your across back. So then the next thing is to measure from your nape to your waist, because your waist length in front is always different from your waist length at the back because of the bust, you know. So you are going to place your tape at this prominent bone of your back, this center bone here. You're going to measure to your natural waistline from here, then to where you have your rope. You know, we tie rope around the waist circumference. So you're going to be measuring from there. Here I have 16. So let me show you the difference. If you measure for the front, here I have 18. So it's always different because the front is having a bust. So now you're going to be measuring your shoulder from one bone of the shoulder to the other. So you take it like this. Take your shoulder measurement like this. So the next thing is to measure your sleeve length. So, and how do you take sleeve length? You measure back your shoulder again like this. Where your shoulder stops, from there you take the measurement of your sleeve. Yes, that's how to take sleeve measurement. So from there you measure down measure down your cap height. If you're making a short sleeve, you measure your short sleeve, your 3/4 sleeve, and then your long sleeve. All right. So, and at those points, you're going to be taking the circumference measurement of the sleeve. If you're making a short sleeve where your short sleeve stops, you take the circumference measurement of that position. So for a short sleeve, you measure like this, inserting one finger. You measure your 3/4, inserting one finger. Then while taking the wrist measurement, that is the length of your long sleeve, you don't just measure here, because if you just measure here, your sleeve is not going to enter into your hand, because you know our palm is actually bigger than this position. So while taking your wrist measurement, you don't take your wrist. Do you understand? You don't take the round wrist measurement. No, you don't do that, otherwise your sleeve is not going to fit in. So, except if you are using a stretchy fabric or like a mesh, you know, all those stretchy stuff like. So, but if you're not using that, if you're using a cotton fabric, take your wrist measurement here. Just fold your hand like I'm showing you, like this, then you take the measurement around here. So now for our skirt length, by taking the skirt measurement, you will need to ask your clients where they keep their skirts. Yes, because where each individual places their skirts differs sometimes. You know, some like it on the low waist, while some like it on the high waist. So just ask your clients where they keep their skirt. Then at that position where they pointed at, or at that position where they tell you, you just place your tape measure. Then you take it all the way down to where they want the skirt, whether it's a short skirt or a long skirt. If they want a short skirt, just measure to their knee or to wherever they said they want. Then if you're making a long skirt, you measure it all the way to the floor. Then when you measure the length, at that position where you started the measurement of the skirt, you're going to be taking your band measurement around that place, and this time around you have to take it firmly. Let it be firm. You want the skirt to be falling off, so just take the measurement firmly around that position. And thanks for watching. So that's basically it on how to take body measurement. So watch out for the next tutorial where I'm going to be showing you how you can. So basically your waist dart is the difference between your bodies